Today we've kind of started all of our focus on Seattle moving forward. We'll work today through Friday. We'll fly out there early on Saturday and stay throughout the weekend. Return on Monday. Obviously, this is a very explosive team in all three phases of the ball. Starting on offense, obviously, Russell Wilson's one of the top players in the league. Has a ton of top targets. Whether he's throwing the deep down there to Metcalf or Lockett or handing the ball from one number of their backs, they all run strong, physical downhill. It's a big, explosive, size, speed team. Offensively, they pose a number of problems we have to go ahead and start working on today and give ourselves a chance. Defensively, this team's been very consistent schematically throughout the years. Obviously, Ken does a great job of drawing from his experience throughout the years in this system, really tying together the front with the back end. They're really starting to turn on these last 5 games. 22 sacks, I believe, is the number, and they've really been going ahead and making a big difference on it right there. Their back end's very opportunistic. They've got those long, size, speed corners. And those safeties come on down. And obviously, Adams, one of the top players in the league, and this guy's, he's a headache for whoever he plays against right there. So whether it's making plays off tip balls and coverage or being a rusher off the edge or coming on forward to stop a run in the box down low, this guy poses a number of problems you've got to really account for. And the kicking game, look, I see their players playing the way they're coached. You watch Larry Izzo as a player. That's what he is as a coach. His players play keyed in. They're very intense with a great sense of urgency. I think he's got a group of guys out there right now who really play the way he played. And they're really buying into what he's doing. You can see on tape the identity really jumps out at you. Obviously, there's a lot of things we have to work on this week, getting started today. That being said, any questions I can answer, we can open it up right now.
Hey, Joe, you talked so much about progress. You have a lot of young guys that have never played meaningful December football. Can that accelerate progress, for young guys? Can it teach them things that they might not learn otherwise?
Well, I think you have to learn from every situation you're in, Ed. And whether it's a meaningful game in September, October, November, or December, we got to learn from every experience we have. And it's our duty not only to, learn from where we're on the field, but also learn from when others make mistakes. And, we're going to have mistakes. We can't repeat mistakes. We have to make sure we keep moving forward and learn from that. Obviously, going on the road as a young guy and playing in a tough environment like Seattle, with or without fans, you're playing against a great team, coached very well, play with a high sense of urgency and energy. It's a tough place to go out there and play. It's an experience that these guys will get to learn from and build forward in their careers. I just say, just in general terms, though, look, to me, any time of year you're playing, obviously the stakes keep getting higher. The competition gets tougher as the year goes on because teams have played together longer. They've created more chemistry. Everyone's gotten a little bit better as a team at this point right here, and the players across the league all have more experience playing next to each other. So the competition continues to get tougher, and that's just the nature of the NFL.
What's the plan with Daniel this week in terms of, easing him back into seeing what he can do? Are you going to throw him right out there? Where's he at physically? Just curious where everything stands with Daniel as of today.
Yeah, really, we're waiting to hear a lot of feedback from the trainers, to be honest with you. I mean, he came in here today, deep in the playbook and ready to work. We'll see some stuff with the trainers today. Today's going to be kind of a practice. We're going to hybrid structure it, some early practice, individual and group periods, and then we're going to have kind of a team walkthrough on the back end of it after some conditioning. So we'll kind of see what he's able to do today, and that'll really help us plan out more tomorrow and Friday going forward.
Is he a guy that if the trainers, kind of say to limit him, that you gotta talk him off the ledge and not have him do too much to risk re-entering and going into the league?
Yeah, I think like a lot of our guys, Daniel's a guy that, is very competitive. He's got a tremendous work ethic. And, he's a very tough guy. So, he comes in. You've got to kind of pull a lot of these guys back because they're coming in wired with the mindset that they're getting ready for a game. And as coaches, it's our responsibility sometimes to protect players from themselves.
Tom Rock.
Joe, I have a big picture question and a Seattle question. I'll start with the Seattle question. How do you prepare for a wide receiver like Metcalf in terms of having the cornerbacks go up against a bigger body like that?
Well, you've got to find the best guy on your team who can at least kind of simulate some of the size. But this guy's a rare guy. I mean, to try to simulate his size and speed and playmaking down the field, you don't have a lot of guys walking the earth like him. So the reality is, you have to do everything you can to give your players the right looks from tape, the right looks in practice and scout teams. And we've got to work to service each other the best possible. But, look, we all understand this guy's a tremendous player. He's an elite player in the league. We can't do anything to just flat out replicate it, so we have to do the best we can in practice and then prepare our guys mentally that when they see them on the field, they understand it's going to be different than what they've necessarily seen in practice.
And then the big picture question was, you've spoken all year about making progress and working towards a vision. And now you're at the end of the season, and the division and the playoffs are sort of in reach. What takes precedence if they come into conflict with any kind of an in-game decision, maybe a roster decision, maybe a starting quarterback decision?
No, look, our intention is always just to keep improving as a team every week. And, I know it looks like we're down the home stretch. We still have 5 games to go. I mean, this is a third of the season pretty much still has to be played. There's a lot of football left to be played, and we've got to keep that in mind. And, over the course of the next 5 weeks, we have to make tremendous improvement as a team. That being said, we're going to always do everything we can to give our players a chance to be successful out there. We're going to always look to go ahead and put the players in the best position to play to their strengths. We'll use our personnel however we need to give ourselves an advantage. So whether that's changing somebody in a lineup or changing someone schematically by a game plan, we're going to always do what's best for the team.
Dougie?
Hey, Joe. What do you think has been the key to the run game's improvement? And have you had to do much different than what you had planned when you had Saquon in the lineup?
Well, I think the lines obviously, throughout the year worked together and made a lot of improvement. I think there's a reflection of, how these guys have been able to compete through games together and how that's improved. It's tough to simulate some of this stuff in practice. We do everything we can. We did everything we could competitively through training camp. The nature of it is you really want to use many games. Preseason games are key. We didn't have those, so I've seen a tremendous amount of improvement week by week in game action from the line. In terms of scheme, we've changed it, a little bit each week based on who we're playing and also who we have available. In terms of what we would do when we had Saquon, I could see a lot of things we're doing right now, that Saquon would have a lot of success doing. And Wayne's doing a lot of stuff right now, and Alfred's doing a lot of stuff now, and Devontae, when he was healthy, was doing a lot of the same things. So we may tweak the game plan week by week. Ultimately, we're trying to find identity each week and what we want to be in that game plan and play physically and aggressively to it.
Will Colt McCoy get all the first-team reps in whatever practice you have today?
We'll actually vary that a little bit. Colt will take the majority of it right there. We got to see where Daniel's at physically and what he can do with the trainers until we have that answer. I can't give you an absolute answer right now, Paul. And then, we'll kind of roll Thorson on through as well, make sure he gets his share of reps, and we get everyone prepared to play.
Your level of confidence with Colt, he started one game last year. Hasn't really started in a long time. Your level of confidence if he has to go out there in Seattle?
I have a lot of confidence in Colt. I'm going to tell you what, the way this guy comes to work every day and prepares, and then every chance he gets on the field to compete. Look, I've been able to play again or coach against this guy. Now he's with us right now. You get to see how competitive this guy is. He's got a lot of instincts, a lot of savvy. He draws on his experience. He's a tough dude. He's mentally tough. He's physically tough. He's a guy that's very well respected on this team. In the locker room and on the field, the guys really like Colt. They rally around him just like they do Daniel. He's a guy that puts a lot of confidence in the players in the huddle. I always talk about, you want a quarterback who's going to step in that huddle and have 10 sets of eyes looking at him, knowing that this guy's going to give them the answer. And I think Colt's that guy, and Daniel's that guy. So we've got a number of guys on this team that can step in the huddle with command and really go ahead and give guys confidence. And I have a ton of confidence in Colt. I have a ton of confidence in Daniel.
Thanks, Joe.
We'll take 3 more. Jordan, Kim, and Zach. Jordan.
Hey, Joe, I got 2 quick ones for you. How's Daniel feeling?
I can't speak for him specifically and how he's feeling. I know he's here today working very hard and doing everything he can.
And also, how curious are you? I mean, you talk about progress all the time and being better every day, but how curious are you to gauge the progress that you guys have made since the beginning of the season, now with the opportunity to do it against one of the league's best or the conference's best teams?
Yeah, I think when you want to compete, you want to compete against the best. And we're going to get an opportunity this week to go against one of the best teams in the league. I mean, this team's, look, through the course of, Pete being there, they've always been very competitive, been very successful. They get after you on defense. They play very physical on offense with the run game. But they can also get downfield. They're very explosive. It's one of the top quarterbacks in the league year in, year out, if not the top. All right, they've obviously got a couple receivers who are among the top in the league. And in the kicking game, this team can really flip the field on you right there. They've got good specialists. You've got to get ready to play on a long field with Dixon punting the ball. He puts that thing on down there and pins you inside the 10-yard line. So your offense has to be ready for backed-up series and moving the ball down the field. So, look, this team, is definitely going to give us everything we can handle. We've got a long week of preparing, make sure that we're, crossing our T's and dotting our I's. You can't go out there half-loaded against this team.
Kim?
Joe, I know you're aware of everything, but you weren't with the Giants when Wellington Mara was still with us. And his goal was always for his Giants to play meaningful games in December. And I'm just curious if John Mara has said anything to you about that at any point, or if you're aware that for this franchise, you are now realizing one of its long-standing goals and something, frankly, it hasn't done a lot of lately.
I've had a lot of conversations with John throughout the season. I'll keep that between us. I think everyone's goal at some point in the season is to make sure that you're relevant and meaningful down the stretch. That being said, we've really kept the focus week by week this year, and we're going to keep it right there. And right now, Kim, just weekly improvement.
Thank you.
Last one here, Zach.
Hey, Joe, I was wondering what impressed you about how Nico Lalas came in there and made some big plays. It was his first real NFL action, and he really made the most of it. And what has he shown you behind the scenes to build up to the point where in week 12 you were confident throwing him out there like you did?
Yeah, I think anytime someone shows in practice that they can make plays on a consistent basis, we have no problem putting them in the game. And that's really it. If you show it to us in practice, we'll do it in the game. And that's kind of always been our attitude. And he's a guy that week by week has made constant improvement. Now, look, this guy plays on special teams for us. He plays on defense for us. And then he also plays on a scout team as a fullback and a tight end. So this guy's shown a lot of improvement throughout the year. And I think the one thing that's very impressive with this guy is whether it's in training camp where he's, the last one out of the building and he's knocking on T-Mac and Tom's door wanting to talk about the kicking game with them, or it's the bye week and he's asking Pat Graham, can we zoom in and talk about some of the scheme stuff? This is a guy that works really, really tirelessly. And, we saw him do things like you saw on Sunday. We've seen it throughout the year in practice. The opportunity came up for him. And the thing that, impresses you about any player is when the opportunity arises, does the preparation show up? And I think it did with Nico. And we're proud of how he played. And we're excited to see him going forward. But I think he's got a lot of growth left in him. I think he's got the opportunity to be a very good player in this league. And he works hard every day and gives himself the opportunity to improve.